Good afternoon, Councilman Borelli. It's Marianne Pizzatola, President of the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. I guess you're having a conversation on Twitter, and I'm being sucked into the conversation. Not that I mind you, but I'm going to clarify a few things because it seems as if you are hell-bent on spreading misinformation, and that's something that we despise. So I'm going to clear the record officially, and I'm going to do it in my way. Here, like this. So in May, just before, actually, we filed our litigation. I guess it wasn't timely enough for you. You wrote us a letter, and I thought I would take the high road and not answer it because it was really rather ugly. But I think now's the time I need to clarify a few things for you because I think you're okay with spreading misinformation, gaslighting, and blaming the very people who've been victimized in this whole thing, the retirees. So here we go. Your letter says that you're sympathetic of our predicament and that you support and have always supported the retirees' efforts to maintain our quality health care free of charge currently. Well, it's not free of charge, sir. We have earned and paid for these in blood, sweat, and tears. We have taken years of reduced wages, years of zero zeros, years of delayed implementation of contract increases. That's not free. That's a form of deferred compensation. You said, unfortunately, I think you have been misled by your leadership who is trying to point blame at anyone other than themselves. So let me clear up a few things. Blame? The retirees have been retired. We do not collectively bargain. We do not negotiate. Those days have been long over. Not only do we not have a seat at the table, we were never even permitted a seat in the room. Not even to educate the people who do have that power, that clearly don't know how to negotiate for themselves, that clearly could have used some guidance. But that's another story. Then you said first, as the Republican minority leader of the city council, you do not have the authority to prevent legislation from being introduced or voted upon by the council. Well, according to a senior citizen, retiree, who was in the ladies' room, who overheard two council persons discussing exactly what you did when people were trying to introduce our bill, I would say the contradictory. You said, second, another council member did support our legislation that was drafted to ensure that the retirees continue to receive the same Medicare benefits that we currently have. However, that bill had not been formally introduced. And that was the bill that we brought to Councilwoman Farias and that had been sitting in the ledge office since December, before the hearing, mind you. You then said, third, when the retirees organization came to my colleagues and me last year, they asked us to stop the passage of a bill that could have changed the administrative code to allow the mayor to charge the retirees a monthly premium for senior care. If we voted down this bill, we were told it would preserve the retirees' ability to take legal action to prevent the administration from taking away their senior care. In fact, you can listen to your own president make this very case in front of the city council during the hearing on Intro 874. I guess you didn't listen to that video, but I will send it here, because I actually took my last 3 minutes, in which I actually asked the council to do 3 things. Don't pass Intro 874, pushed by the unions and the mayor, because it would charge premium to the retirees. Don't pass 874, because it would change the law that we won our case on, our several cases on. And by you doing so would inhibit my ability to further litigate. And why did I ask you that? Because I knew I still needed a path of due process, knowing I couldn't trust the very unions any longer that were supposed to have my back. I was supposed to be able then to have trusted the body of legislators, the city council, that should have had my back, but for some reason they just couldn't seem to find their way. And yet, I needed a path of due process, litigation, because I knew I didn't have the unions, and I didn't clearly believe I'd have the city council. And I'm glad I didn't hedge my bets on that I did take the path of litigation. I choose to prepare our organization to fight this issue on multiple fronts because I just don't know which one's going to come through. And I'm glad I took that practice because clearly my choices, the choices of the organization, is what's saving our own selves, not the people who were entrusted to do that for us, our electeds. You then said, so I would ask your leadership this question. Now that the administration has taken away your free Medicare, where is the lawsuit that you promised to raise funds for? Why are we not in court right now? What happened to that plan? If you want to preserve the health care benefits that you currently have, you need to push your leadership to take action. They're wasting your time and the organization's resources that should be going towards a lawsuit to attack city council members who have supported your case. All they are doing is ensuring that you will lose this fight. Well, sir, I have 2 law firms working to protect the retirees, and they've done a really good job. We don't rush hastily to file legal briefs. We've actually done our due diligence, dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and that practice has paid off for us. I'm not going to rush them to live up to a time schedule that you think I should be living up to. But see, the larger question is, instead of attacking me and our organization, is to be asking why you're not on this legislation. Why are you not willing to support legislation? Why is it that it's okay that you want to pound your chest and look what I've done and I've given you this amicus brief, I'm supporting you. I don't need you to support the amicus brief. I don't need you to support our litigation. I need you to do the one thing you have the power to do. Help us legislate. Why? Because 12-126 was legislated by the City Council in 1967 by the very body that's supposed to be protecting us today, and they are not living up to their responsibility. Legislation 12-126, Administrative Code, was legislated after the Taylor Law and after the New York City Collective Bargaining Law. It's not illegal. It's been amended dozens of times by the same body that you happen to sit in. Even so much as in 2000, Mayor Giuliani was urged to send a memo to the City Council by OLR and OMB that the bill that they wanted to put forward to keep Medicare B reimbursement steady with inflation, still under the HIP HMO benchmark, was illegal, violating Taylor Law and the City Collective Bargaining Law. Mayor Giuliani knew, being an attorney, that that was a lie. And he facilitated a friendly veto override, knowing that he was being lied to. And that's what you should be doing, because your leadership is lying to you, like our leadership lied to us. If you can't compel a body to put in writing exactly what's wrong with what our legislation is, Intro 1099, sponsored by Councilman Barron, then they're not willing to put their name on it because they know it's a sham. So we're asking you to support 1099 or sit with us at a table and try to make some changes to the current legislation. That legislation has actually supported us for 57 years, and we are quite happy with it. I recently just received a memo, an email about what you did. And I'm trying to understand why it is that you are then insisting to blame us. The last message that you sent on Twitter to a gentleman on Twitter, whose father is one of our retirees, you wrote that you preserved the law that protects Medicaid, Medicare. We are on Medicare. At our urging, the retirees, and against the mayor's push, and that now we are simultaneously arguing the opposite, that the law doesn't protect them, while in court on the correct notion that it does, undermining their own argument. Stop believing everything the retiree group is saying to you. Mr. Borelli, our attorneys helped us draft that legislation. Our attorneys know it is going to take a push on both sides to win this. You see, traditionally, labor leaders would never have diminished a retiree benefit, and it definitely wasn't expected when 12-126 was legislated, that the very bodies that supported what we were doing were going to diminish our benefits and argue in court that the city only had to provide one free plan. Alan Klinger has been caught on audio, the lawyer for the MLC, UFT, DC 37, and others, that is the way to finance them, selling us off to enrich a fund that finances them. Our health care is codified in statute. 12-126 requires that the city pay for the full cost of our health care. The stabilization fund does not pay for a Medicare-eligible retiree because our plans are inexpensive. And we are not undermining ourselves. The minor tweak that this legislation needed was to protect retirees. Choice. Because if I tell you you could have two choices, but you can't afford either one, it's not a choice. So now you've heard it from me. And by the way, your staff, on multiple times, with other city council member staffs from the Common Sense Caucus, have told me personally, repeatedly, get the bill to the floor and the Common Sense Caucus will be behind it. You'll have all 8 of us. The bill's on the floor, Mr. Borelli. Where do you stand? With retirees or against us? That answer is up to you. Because so far, you're not really showing us support. You're doing what's convenient for you. Being able to provide someone with help when it's not helpful isn't help. I don't need you to add an amicus in my litigation. I can handle my litigation. I need you to do the one thing that you have in your power to help us. And those who are telling you all these lies about our bill being illegal, if they can't cite it and source it, it doesn't exist. And you spreading misinformation and maligning and gaslighting us only makes that matter worse, because I know where we stand. You see, I'm retired, and I know you're hedging for a position in the mayor's office to increase your salary. We don't make $150,000 salaries, Mr. Borelli. I have a nurse that turned 91 on last Sunday who makes a pension of $7,100 a year. I have a firefighter who's 97 who makes a $26,000 a year pension. These are the faces we represent. Protect us because we need it. Clearly, you recognize our own union sold us out. Where are you?